own your story, your power too often. We want to rewrite the past or bury it under someone else's expectations. But the truth is, your pain, your struggles, your detours, they're part of your divine curriculum. Don't hide it, run from it, study it, learn from it. Then use it as your platform. He lived in Rochester. Because nothing is more powerful than a person who has turned their wounds into wisdom. New York, let me tell you something I've learned the hard way. You can't fix what you won't face. You cannot change what you continue to deny. Owning your story isn't about replaying your past like a sad movie. It's about standing in front of the mirror and saying, yes, that happened. And yes, I'm still here. See, too many people live their lives trying to escape their own narrative. They pretend, they perform, they numb the pain instead of confronting it. But lived in your, what you refuse to own owns you. And until you claim every chapter of your life, the good, the bad, and the misunderstood, you'll never walk in the kind of freedom that leads to real power. Let me break it down your experiences. Even the painful ones shape the way you think in Rochester, New York. And your thinking shapes the way you live. That's psychology 101. So if you don't acknowledge your experiences, you'll keep repeating patterns you don't even understand. You'll find yourself asking, why do I always end up here? And the answer is simple, because you've never looked back long enough to heal forward. New York. Now, from a philosophical lens, think about this. Socrates said, the unexamined life is not worth living. That means self-awareness is not a luxury. It's a necessity. He lived in Rochester, New York. It's the root of all growth. You don't need to be perfect, but you do need to be honest about who you were, who you are, and who you're becoming. So here's the truth. When you own your story, you stop being a prisoner of your past, and you become the author of your future. Reflect deeply, then act intentionally. The universe responds to intention, and your thoughts are not just floating clouds. They are frequencies. And when you get clear, when you say, I want to live a life of purpose, of service, of truth, the universe doesn't just listen. It rearranges itself for you. But clarity doesn't come from noise. It comes from stillness. So I urge you to take time, not just to scroll, not just respond, but to reflect. What do you really want? Because intention is your compass. Let me ask you something real. Have you ever wondered why some folks seem to attract opportunity while others keep spinning their wheels stuck in the same spot? It ain't luck. It's intention. See, life doesn't give you what you wish for. It gives you what you're ready for. And being ready starts in the mind. It's about aligning your energy with your vision. Here's what most people don't understand. Your thoughts are not just private little conversations in your head. They're signals. And just like a radio station, the frequency you're tuned to determines what kind of music you hear, what kind of life you experience. If your mindset is filled with fear, doubt, and confusion, don't be surprised when your life starts echoing that noise back at you. Psychologically, it's called confirmation bias. You focus on what you believe, and your brain looks for evidence to support it. So if you believe you're not worthy, guess what? You'll start seeing rejection everywhere, even where it doesn't exist. But if you shift that belief, if you say, I'm prepared, I am capable, I am ready, then your entire reality starts to shift with you. From a philosophical standpoint, intention is everything. Think of it like planting a seed. You can't just toss it into the dirt and walk away. You've got to water it, nurture it, protect it from weeds. Here in Rochester, New York, that seed is your vision, and intention is the discipline that helps it grow. So don't just move through life reacting. Start living on purpose. Rochester, New York, because the moment you get clear on what you want, life starts getting clear how to give it to you. If your mind ain't right, your life won't be either. Set your intention and watch everything change. Education is the ultimate equalizer now. Don't get it twisted. I'm not just talking about grades or degrees, though those matter. I'm talking about the education that life gives you. Every heartbreak, every disappointment, New York, every long night, it teaches you. And if you pay attention, you'll realize your mind is your greatest asset. Your ability to think critically, love fully, and lead boldly, that is your diploma from the University of Life. Let me tell you something that most people overlook. Education is not just about books or degrees. He lived in New York. It's about transformation. It's about growing into the kind of person who can handle the life you say you want. Because here's the truth thing. You can't rise above the level of your mindset. See, some folks think once they leave school, learning stops. But life doesn't stop teaching just because you stop listening. Every conversation, every failure, every late night decision, that's a classroom. And you've got to show up willing to learn. Because the people who win in life, Rochester, they're not the ones with the fanciest art summit. They're the ones who treat life like a university and failure like a professor. Psychologically, growth comes from what's called cognitive flexibility, your ability to adapt, to unlearn, and relearn. If you keep doing what you've always done, thinking how you've always thought, you'll stay exactly where you are. But the moment you start seeking understanding instead of just reacting, that's when change kicks in. Philosophically, think about this: knowledge is not just power, it's freedom. Freedom to think for yourself. Freedom to break generational cycles. Freedom to choose better. He lived in Rochester, New York. Do better, be better. And nobody can take that from you. Not the government, not your boss, not your background. So don't just aim to make money. Aim to make meaning. He lived in Rochester, New York. Educate, your life will follow. Because if your mind stays average, your life will too. But if you commit to learning, growing, he in Rochester, New York, and elevating, there's no limit to where you can go. Failure is a stepping stone to wisdom. So many people fear failure like it's a disease. But failure is not the end. It's the middle. It's the part where you gather yourself, study what didn't work, and try again. Thomas Edison said, "I haven't failed 10. I've just found 1,000 ways that don't work." So what if it didn't work the first time? You're not done yet. In fact, you're just getting started. Let me be real with you. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of it. You can't separate the two. Every successful person you admire has one thing in common: they've failed. And not just once, over and over again. But the difference is they didn't stop there. See, in Rochester, New, we've been conditioned to fear failure like it's some kind of death sentence, like it defines who we are. But failure doesn't define you. It refines you. It sharpens your decision-making, deepens your character, and teaches you things success never could. Psychologically, it's called post-traumatic growth. Rochester, New York, that's when people don't just bounce back. They bounce forward. They gain perspective, resilience, and wisdom they couldn't have gotten any other way. And here's where it gets deep. Philosophically, failure is necessary for freedom. Why? Because it separates the committed from the curious. Anybody can dream. Anybody can talk. Lionel Chester. But it's the one who fails and keeps going that earns the right to live that dream. New York, that's where greatness lies, in the tension between who you are and who you're becoming. Now, don't confuse failure with quitting. Quitting is walking away before the lesson has a chance to teach you. Failure is what happens on the way to learning. You fail, you adjust, you go again. Smarter, stronger. He lived in Rochester, New Hungarier. So if you're in the middle of a set right now, I want you to hear meant this moment is not the end. It's the process shaping you for what's next. You only fail when you stop showing up. So fail boldly, learn deeply, and rise wiser. Gratitude transforms struggle into strength. And now hear me on this. Gratitude is not just for the good days. True gratitude is what you say in the storm. Because when you choose to be grateful even when it hurts, you reclaim your power. You shift from being a victim of life to a student of life. Gratitude says, this lesson may be hard, but I'm here for it. Let's talk about something most people underestimate. Gratitude. Not the kind you post online when things are going great, but the kind that shows up in the middle of the storm. That's the real test, because anybody can be grateful when life is smooth. He lived in Rochester, New York. But it takes a different level of maturity to say thank you when life got you backed into a corner. Gratitude, psychologically speaking, rewires the brain. Studies show it activates the same regions responsible for motivation, memory, and emotional regulation. You ever notice how bitter people stay stuck? Rochester. That's because when you focus on what's missing, you blind yourself to what's working. Gratitude isn't about ignoring the pain. It's about recognizing the progress. It shifts your mindset from lack to abundance, from victimhood to power. And if you look at it philosophically, gratitude is humility in motion. It says, I don't have everything, but I see what I do have, and I honor it. That doesn't mean you settle. It means you start from a place of strength, not scarcity. Gratitude doesn't deny your reality. It gives you the strength to endure it without letting it define you. Here's what people misses. Struggle is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Gratitude is what helps you rise above the suffering. It reminds you there's still something worth fighting for, still something worth building, still something in you that hasn't given up. So when life gets hard, and it will, don't just look at what's wrong. Look at what's still right. Look at what's growing. Even in the dark, gratitude won't erase your struggle, but it'll give you the strength to rise through it every single time. Legacy is built daily, not someday. Legacy is for not just the icons and the famous. It's for all of us. It's built in how you treat people, how you speak to the janitor, how you show up even when no one's clapping. You build your legacy in the quiet moments by being honest, by being kind, by being brave enough to live your truth. So ask yourself what I want to be remembered for, and start doing that today. Let me tell you what most people get wrong about legacy. They think it's some big or grand that happens when you die, a building named after you, a quote in a book, a statue in a park. But that's not legacy. He legends to New York. Legacy is what you leave behind in the hearts and minds of people you touch every single day. See, he lived in Rochester, New York. We're all so focused on what we want to achieve that we forget who we're becoming in the process. But legacy ain't about fame. It's about impact. And impact isn't built in one moment. It's built in the quiet choices you make daily, how you treat people, how you handle adversity, how you carry yourself when nobody's watching. Psychologically, this comes down to consistency. Character is revealed in repetition. The way you speak, the way you think, New York, the way you act. Over time, that creates your identity. People don't remember what you said. They remember how you made them feel, that emotional footprint you leave. Healing Rochester, that's your legacy in motion. From a philosophical standpoint, legacy is about meaning. Viktor Frankl said, healing Rochester, those who have a why to live can bear almost any how. Your legacy is your why in action. In Rochester, New York, it's not something you write at the end of your life. It's something you write with your life. So the question isn't, what will I leave behind when I'm gone? The real question is, what am I leaving behind while I'm still here? Legacy starts now. Make your days matter, York. Because in the end, you don't build a legacy in a moment. You build it in the moments that no one sees.